Hey, listen to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MPR. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype, we got Josh.
Hey.
We got a double header for you this week. We got to talk about the results from NXT Spring Breakin, and then we also got to jump ahead and we got to preview WrestleMania Backlash. So, let's start it off with the past. Let's look at NXT Spring Breakin. And I think maybe 60 seconds ago, Josh, you were looking at these results and you said, that first result really shocks me.
Yeah. It doesn't, I mean, last week I said I could see a world where Grimes retained, but the fact that he pinned Sika is what's really surprised me.
Yeah, we all thought that, this was going to be something big for Solo Sikoa here, and then, Cameron Grimes pins him, and you're a little confused, I guess. Like, does that mean that we want to do something more with Carmelo? Does that mean Grimes is going to have a long title run? So many questions floating around from the result of this match.
This could also just be, hey, we would actually make Grimes a legitimately top guy with the worker title, have him put on some great matches, and put him over with the crowd.
Yeah, all that does is then, I guess, bring up the question of what you want to do with Solo Sikoa, because this is now the second time, I think, we've sort of predicted him to walk out with the North American Championship, and he's fallen short. The ladder match, and then now here. The guy hasn't really got a whole lot of momentum going for him, or he did prior to the ladder match, and since then it's kind of been all downhill.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just aren't for sure on what they want from him yet. Maybe they haven't decided on a character, or they just aren't ready to really go with him yet, which is fair. I mean, he's been here 6 months?
Yeah. And if we're talking about, I guess, newer stars like Solo, and we're looking at unexpected match outcomes, then let's look at the second match on the card as well, because your boy Grayson Waller took the pinfall.
I'm not that surprised, actually, because I think Waller is the type of character that can survive it, and this was Nathan Fraser's first match in the main NXT.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of makes sense that you would put him over here. You get him in touch with the audience that may not have followed NXT UK. And it's just another body that you can depend on. Just another that, and Waller's just great. So he can go from here. So it won't matter.
I swear you were just about to say Waller is Waller. Yeah, I'm sure the guy will bounce back. But I guess going from those first two matches into the rest of the matches, maybe a little bit more the way we had laid out in our little preview last week, because Cora Jade and Nikita Lyons did manage to defeat Natalya and Lash Legend.
Yeah, not really that surprising.
Do we need to say that Cora Jade's the future of this division one more time? Do we need to parrot it again?
It might as well. I mean, she definitely is, and I think Nikita Lyons is right there alongside her too. I think this match was more to elevate Lyons, actually, and I do think they may have used Lash Legend just a tad bit too much in the match. But it was to have Natalya work with these three ladies to try to elevate them and work on their in-ring stuff. So we'll have to see where they go from here, but it was definitely these two ladies on the winning team. They're our future. They're the people that we believe are going to lead NXT and ultimately, maybe someday, the main roster.
Yeah, I guess, we thought Cora Jade and Natalya was the singles feud after this match. Are we changing what we expect there, or do we still see Cora Jade and Natalya heading off to have their little match afterwards?
It's very possible. It's also possible we may see Natalya versus Lashlet just because Natalya kicked her in the face.
A lot of Natalya matches here. No friends for Natalya.
Yeah.
And then talking about...
She'd be used to that, though.
Fair. Talking about main roster talent coming on down to NXT 2.0 and losing in a tag match. The Creed brothers came out on top when they went up against the Viking Raiders.
Exactly what needed to happen there. The Creed brothers are amazing. They are the future of the tag division. They will eventually get a shot at our current champions. I don't know when, but they will eventually work their way back to those titles, and they will win them.
Yeah, I think even with Malcolm Bivens parting ways and this confusion around the Diamond Mine's future as a whole, the Creed brothers will still survive it. I don't think they were super tied to that stable or to that gimmick. They're still amazing
Rocket
on their
strong.
own. They're still great, and as you say, yeah, I think as much as I talk about Cora Jade being the future of the women's division, the Creed brothers are that tag team division, and I look forward to seeing what they can bring as they show us in the next 6-9 months. And then the last match on the card, the main event, the NXT Championship match, also the shortest match on the card. Kind of expected, but Bron Breakker does walk away with the NXT Championship.
Yeah, we're not ready to crown Joe Gacy yet. He still has a lot of work he has to do. And Breakker is still working his way through as being a champion. I mean, the first time he was champion, he was only champion like a month.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. It does appear that they are doing something for the further storyline afterwards. So it may not be the last time Joe Gacy faces the champion. But it's definitely a case where we definitely saw some glimpses of what we can truly see from Joe Gacy here. And our champion is just... he's just amazing.
Yeah, I think Bron Breakker has truly shined through these 2 title reigns and his work with Ciampa heading up to them. Pretty much since the debut of NXT 2.0, Bron Breakker has been a highlight in the singles division, and constantly looking forward to seeing what more we get from the guy and seeing where he can evolve from here, because that's the big thing, right? You don't want to sit and just stagnate and stay there. You do want to evolve and change and roll with the punches, per se. So interested to see what Bron Breakker, much like Creed brothers and much like Cora Jade, end up doing in the next 6 to 9 months.
I could easily see him being brought up around SummerSlam. In fact, that's probably what I would do, is I'd probably book him to debut on either the Raw or SmackDown after SummerSlam.
Makes a whole lot of sense. Well, that was NXT Spring Breakin. We're going to go into our entrance theme this week just a little bit early so that we can save some time on the other side to talk all about WrestleMania Backlash and the matches that are announced for that so far. The entrance theme this week is that of Randy Orton.
I hear voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand. On your back is where have long since politicians.
And you're back with Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM MPR. I'm Grady, he's Josh. Now we take a look forward at the future WrestleMania Backlash. As of time of recording, we got 6 matches announced for the card. More may come in, but we can only talk about the ones we got. We got our 1 big headline match, we got 1 title match, and then we got 4 other matches, so I'm just going to start at the bottom and work our way up. Happy Corbin, Madcap Moss. The animosity has spilled over.
Yeah, Madcap Moss definitely hasn't had a lot to laugh about lately. Although, he's definitely had a lot more to laugh about than Happy Corbin in Europe. I think this is going to be a good match, because think they're both really good workers. I do hope this is the last time we see them in the ring together for a while. Because I do think they need to further develop both characters as apart from each other. And if we can get a star out of Madcap, that's just another person you can use against the AJ Styles, the Edges, the Cody Rhodes of the world, if you can build them right.
Yeah, I think there's no, worrying or crazy here that Corbin might win. I do think this is going to be that sort of final send-off big match for Madcap Moss to solidify his place and to, as you say, make a star and be another dependable talent that they can put on the roster. Will it actually be the end of the feud? I can't predict. WWE do love to drag things out a few weeks longer than they need to go, but I do see Madcap Moss coming out on top, both of this match and of the feud, because that's the star you're trying to build. You know, Corbin's an established guy. He's been here for quite a few years now at this point, and he's a mainstay. He's got his role, and he does it well.
Yep. Corbin's a guy you can depend on time after time, much like Sheamus. Like we talk about Sheamus all the time. That he can put on a good match. If you need somebody to be a super villain, there's not many people better than Corbin at that. And he can definitely get people over because people just hate Baron Corbin.
Yeah, I'd put him in that same category with The Miz as well. Another great, dependable talent that, as you say, can make your opponent get over just by being hated that much. So we'll have to see what their future holds for both Corbin and Moss. But our other match that's down here is Omos, now with his new manager MVP, going up against Bobby Lashley in a Backlash rematch of WrestleMania.
Yeah, this ends with Omos winning. Probably dirty. Probably thanks to MVP. But I don't see Bobby Lashley winning this match.
Yeah, it would be a little rough to have Bobby Lashley win twice over Omos if Omos truly is, what they're trying to build here. Especially with giving him MVP and everything. It does feel like this is a do or die for Omos. What exactly they want to do going forward, whether they want to have a rubber match between them, etc., I'm not 100% sure on, because Bobby Lashley is a great main event talent, so Omos picking up a win is going to propel him quite high up into the stratosphere, but, Omos is still pretty green, and I feel like he needs a couple more feuds under his belt before he goes and tries to do too many big things.
Yeah, and I feel like if you put him under Bobby Lashley here, then you've just admitted Omos has a ceiling, and you're not going to reach it. I'm willing to see how it plays out. I mean, a lot of people hated Braun Strowman when he first debuted. And then he became one of the most popular wrestlers in the company, simply because people actually gave him a chance. That's all I'm asking people to give Omos a chance, see what we've got. We haven't even really seen that yet. Yeah,
it really is just, I guess, it's hard to not just say, the next big guy, but yeah, it is going to be a case of sitting around. If Omos does lose here, I do think he is DOA. I don't think he is going to amount to a crazy amount. Losing 2 straight matches against Lashley, even with an MVP in his corner. I'm sure Bobby Lashley can bounce back after a loss. The guy isn't going to be crushed just because he takes one loss. As you say, if it's dirty as well, then even more sort of reasoning for Lashley to lose. Alrighty, well, let's talk about another WrestleMania rematch. We have AJ Styles versus Edge. And thanks to a little bit of help on Raw this week, Damian Priest is banned from ringside.
Yeah, Damian Priest is banned from ringside.
That's it. Not other people.
Yeah. Whoever is the newest member of the group will be debuted on Sunday. I'm most likely Tommaso Ciampa. Well, I mean, Ciampa. Sorry. We're still having our blues about the loss of Tommaso. But whoever it is, Edge wins again.
Do we need to have a third match with Damian Priest and the new member banned from ringside?
Honestly, I think this should be the end. That's why I'm picking Edge to win again as well. Because I almost certainly, if AJ Styles wins, even if it results in AJ Styles post-match getting beaten down by Edge, Damian Priest, and a random third person, that just means they're going to have another match.
True.
And I mean, AJ Styles and Edge are amazing. They'll put on an amazing match every time. But I do want to see them move on with this Edge faction a little bit.
Okay.
Besides, we need AJ Styles to go chase after the world champion. We need somebody to face the world champion.
It's true. To be fair, though, chasing after that world champion could be a number of people who are currently stuck in long-running feuds like that. AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, even Edge, I guess, if you want to pull off some sort of heel kind of work there. WrestleMania Backlash does feature, 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 6 announced matches as rematches from WrestleMania. It does seem like, it's like the hangover from WrestleMania. You just gotta finish wrapping up those storylines with bows. Like, if Lashley Omos ended here, I'd be happy. If Styles Edge ended here, I'd be happy. If Rhodes Rollins ended here, I'd be happy. And if Flair Rousey ended, I'd be happy. So it's kind of just finishing those off and sort of preparing for the new season. Like the way, everyone talks about like a season of wrestling, and like WrestleMania is the end. I feel like Backlash is kind of the epilogue almost. Before we head into all of our fresh new feuds, everybody just sort of delays and strings them out a little bit longer just so we can have some WrestleMania Backlash. And then, boom, all of the new opportunities open up and all the storylines starting. With all of that being said, on to you go, because I need a breath.
Good. It basically is a situation of what it is. As you said, this is basically the season finale of the season, and then after this, we'll start working our way to new stories, beginning with Money in the Bank,
which is always an exciting pay-per-view to be starting off with.
Except it's not the next pay-per-view.
Oh, well, I believe
the next pay-per-view is Hell in the Cell.
Fine. All right, AJ Styles and Edge
probably
are totally having a
means that
match.
we're going to get an AJ Styles win. And now that I see that, either that or, I guess we'll talk about it in the next match.
Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Is that where you wanted me to go?
Yep.
Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, number 2.
Yep. And I think we'll get a Seth win here. If for no other reason than what I just saw.
Heading to Hell in a Cell for the rubber match.
Yeah, in a Hell in a Cell match. This should be a really good match. I do think that Seth probably does need the win here. If for no other reason than just to remind people that just because he is the newest thing on the block, Cody's not going to be unbeatable.
Mm-hmm.
And because an unbeatable Cody Rhodes would be just sad. And I think it would do good to put that feud in the sale. It's one of those feuds that does deserve it. That said, so does AJ Styles and Edge if they want to go that route too.
Yeah, I guess for me, if I'm looking at it in terms of like, if you ask me to rematch one of these matches in the cell, I'm purely going to pick Styles Edge just because Edge does have this faction that's growing and growing, and the cell's a great way to be like, oh, they can't interfere. Even if it is Damian Priest and Ciampa and other people. And then, of course, they will still interfere, but we will claim that they can't.
Yeah. And then the sale was always about these blood feuds that really, just two people that just really didn't seem to like each other that much to settle the score. That's textbook definition of both these feuds.
Bung them both in a cell. Just bung every match into a cell. The entire pay-per-view, keep the cell down, every single match in the cell. Done skis. Worst part is I'm sure that's been pitched before. But talking about stipulations, we have a SmackDown Women's Championship rematch. Charlotte Flair going up against Ronda Rousey in an I Quit match. Interesting stipulation on that one.
Yeah. I think this is where Ronda wins the title. And I think to prevent the third match, they'll do an injury storyline and Charlotte will have an arm broken.
Yeah, I guess I struggle to see Ronda Rousey saying I quit for a match, and that's why I think it's a bit interesting of a stipulation.
I can't struggle because I've seen it before.
Oof. Big oof.
Yeah. Because she did submit in a fight in MMA.
It's true.
It's not out of the realm, but I think with the story and stuff, it's definitely a case of this is definitely Ronda's match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think we see a new SmackDown Women's Champion here. As you say, whether it's an injury storyline or a third match down the line or whatever it goes to, the most obvious outcome here is Ronda Rousey walking out with that title over her shoulder. And our big main event, we still got maybe 4 or 5 minutes left to talk about this one. It is, well, didn't used to be, but it is now a 6-man tag team match. Drew McIntyre and RK Bro taking on the Bloodline. This was our match that was originally tag team title unification between RK Bro and the Usos. Really, that's where this feud all cements around. Drew McIntyre just getting his way inserted into it. And I guess making it all a big 6-man tag team match.
Yeah. This also protects Roman because I think he may still be somewhat recovering from whatever happened in his match with Brock. So he doesn't have to have a full-on match like we thought we were going to get with Nakamura. And we don't have to fully unify the titles yet. We can still build to that. Especially since the next pay-per-view is a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view.
Put them in the cell too.
No, we don't need to put them in the cell. Just put the titles on the line. I think Riddle takes the fall here.
Okay.
Unless they want to do like stack them all three up and have Roman pin all three. I think Riddle makes the most sense here to lose here. Because we just had the whole celebration for Randy Orton's 20th anniversary. We eventually know Drew and Roman are going to fight for the title. It doesn't quite make sense for anybody to pin Drew. So it's between Randy and Riddle, and I think Riddle makes the most sense to me. Maybe they'll surprise me and Orton takes the fall, because Orton seems like he'd be willing to do that at this point in his career. I just don't see the Bloodline losing here.
I was going to say, I'm going to take that. I'm going to flip it upside down. I'm going to say Drew McIntyre pins Jimmy Uso for the win here. I don't know. I just got this weird feeling that, being a 6-man tag team match without the title unification on the line, it's just a nice, easy way that you can have the Bloodline take a loss without it ultimately meaning anything, because the Bloodline as a whole have been pretty protected. Reigns hasn't lost a whole lot of matches. Usos haven't lost a whole lot of matches. And it just feels like this is a nice, easy way to put an L into their column without overly losing anything. So I think Drew McIntyre sends a message to Roman Reigns by taking out one of the Usos. I picked Jimmy at random. Maybe while Roman Reigns watches from ringside, not getting in to go help his cousin.
Maybe. That's probably... Drew McIntyre is the wild card and is the one person that I could see winning the match for the faces here. But I just think the Bloodline is just so dominant that I'm not that sure on that. It won't surprise me, but I just don't think it'll happen.
Well, there's only one way to find out, and that is to come back next week when we talk about the results of WrestleMania Backlash, and we will find out who was right. Did Riddle get pinned, or does Drew McIntyre pin Jimmy Uso? We will find out, but that is all the time we have for this week. It's been great talking to you.
Bye, B.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/WrestlingRND or our Twitter page, twitter.com/WrestlingRND or our YouTube page, youtube.com/WrestlingRND and we will catch you next week.